It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Breakfast as we dissect the Australian property market together. And this week, interestingly, we have been looking back at the 1970s real estate in Australia, which was a time of change for the country. And just picking it up from where we left off a couple of days ago, outer suburban expansion accelerated across Brisbane, Perth and Melbourne's fringe in the 1970s. Larger house and land packages became the dominant ownership model, which really did reinforce Australia's suburban identity and preference for detached homes. And by the late 1970s, higher density living began gaining traction, especially in inner Sydney and Melbourne. Australia experienced high inflation throughout the 1970s, which directly impacted mortgage rates and borrowing power. Now, property became both a hedge against inflation and a risk during economic instability, a theme that still resonates very much in today's modern cycles. And the one thing that is clear, with looking back into the 1970s when it comes to real estate, is that there were challenges. There were high interest rates and there was uncertainty. And we think, and I mentioned this a couple of days ago, that what is happening to us now is unique. No, it ain't. It happened in other cycles. And if you're struggling at the moment within real estate, you might want to let us know how your property journey is going. You can always reach us on our email, which is myrealestatepodcast@gmail.com. Now, it is a Friday, February the 20th, and what we were just talking about with the struggles kind of leads us in nicely to what we're going to be talking about this morning, because 9 in 10 prospective Australian home buyers are jeopardising their property dreams by leaking up to $1,500 monthly on a silent spending spree. Now, PropTrack tells us that these small daily convenience purchases, from subscription services to food delivery apps, significantly reduce borrowing capacity. A 90-day spending audit is recommended to cut out some of these costs. And we're going to talk about this by taking you right now to Melbourne to catch up with Damian Medici, who is a director at Margin Finance. And good morning to you, Damian. Welcome on this Friday morning to the Real Estate Breakfast. Yeah, as I say, banks, they treat these small daily habits as permanent liabilities rather than optional extras. So it's a bit of a worry for people saving up.
Yes. Good morning, Craig. Thanks for having me. They definitely do. It's the silent killer that I like to call it. It's the habits that slowly creep up that form this snowball of where's my money gone is the conversation that people often find themselves at the end of a pay cycle. Where's my money gone? It's left. Yes, it's definitely a silent killer. I can agree with you on that one.
And this silent spending, it can slash the borrowing power, as I mentioned, by up to 40%, making that home loan just so much more difficult to secure, which obviously you see.
Yeah, look, it definitely does. And I think the hardest thing with this as well is banks are okay in understanding what's discretionary and what is not. But I think to go one step further, it's more the borrower really understanding, well, how much can I commit to? And they might have a false sense of their budget that they can allocate towards a mortgage because they don't truly understand exactly how much their budget allows them to spend on a mortgage because they haven't audited or they don't know exactly where their money is going.
Yeah, and it's really one large purchase that ruins a budget, but rather the steady dripping of this everyday spending that you're talking about. We're talking about daily coffees and midweek takeaways that can erode pretty quickly and add up.
Spot on. I like to use the analogy of going to the gym. If you go to the gym once and do a really big workout, probably not a whole lot is going to change. But if you continue to go and the small workouts compound into a more beneficial body or healthy body, that's the same thing as spending. You go and do one large purchase, it's not really going to change a lot, but it's the small incremental spendings that add up, the coffee, the takeaway, and it's a behavior thing. There's nothing wrong with spending money on a coffee. When you're in control and you understand where your money is going, that's a behavior thing. When you don't understand where it's going, that's a behavior thing. So whether you choose what your behavior is, then that will allow you to maybe go and buy the coffee or buy your lunch once a week. But if you've got no control, it will control you.
This is a really good one because I'm kind of guilty of this. I think we all are. Unused or duplicate subscriptions, such as multiple streaming platforms. You sign up for these multiple platforms and you kind of forget them. Some of them are a free trial, these apps. And then they hit you. They start draining your account. Sometimes it's hard just to find out who to connect with and say, hey, stop taking my money.
Correct. And I think the subscription companies make a lot of money from this, the people that forget about it. And that's where this subscription-based model has been skyrocketing over the years. It's because people simply forget. And I'm guilty of it as well. I mean, at the start of the year, I had a Disney subscription come out for a couple $100 and I completely forgot about it. So I'm not perfect. And I think that people just really need to, every couple of months, go back and audit the last 90 days, look at where their money's spending and go old school. I mean, you talk about the 70s, get your statements, get a highlighter, go through and highlight, where have I spent my money? What can I cut my expenses out? Where could I increase my budget? So yeah, I'm pretty big on that.
We are talking to Damian there in Melbourne with some pretty sound advice when saving up for that deposit. When we come back, we'll talk about how you can audit your life. Sounds pretty serious. And the money fast solution. We're back after this.
Decode the property market with insider knowledge and insights to better navigate your real estate journey. Let's explore together the power of real estate.
And billionaire tech entrepreneur Danny Wallace is back in the news. You might have seen this. He is seeking a record $2,500 per week to lease his newly acquired House 5. This is from the block last year in Daylesford. The 4-bedroom home, bought for just over $3 million, is being offered fully furnished on a 2-year lease and reportedly nearly 5 times the local median rent price. The ambitious ask price comes amid sluggish sales from the Block TV show. Really does raise the question, we talked about this, the pricing strategy in a softening regional prestige market. People, though, will be very curious as to whether or not that is an achievable price point. And we will let you know what actually develops. It is a Friday, and Damian from Melbourne is here talking about how to save more money and spending less. Now, Damian, let's get on to treat your household finance like a business by reviewing the last 90 days of spending. Most prospective borrowers who conduct this audit, I think you're saying, could find between $1,000 and $1,500 in monthly cuts, allowing them to better prepare for a mortgage. I mean, this is great stuff, doing an audit.
Yes, it is. And the reason, and if people are asking, there's absolutely no way I can do that. I'm going to be very empathetic here, and I know that there are people that cannot do that. So let's just put that to the side. But where this number came from and where this stat came from, where I took a group of my clients through this course and I really wanted to understand the behaviors of my clients. We wanted to help them get ahead of their budget. How do they get control of their money? And 90% of them, when they went through and audited their business, or audited their household like a business, found between $1,000 and $1,500 a month. I mean, one person found $2,000 a month, and they simply said to me, Damian, we realized we were spending money, but we didn't realize how much money we were wasting. For me, I wanted to keep things really simple. my objective was, how can I explain this to my clients in a way where they get it? The first thing I said was, okay, your household is now a business. Forget that it's anything other than that. It is a business. You now need to audit your spending like any good business. Where can I cut my expenses? Where am I leaking money? And don't just work on the expenses column. How about you look at the income column? Is there ways to earn some more money, to sell some things in my home that I don't use? So it's not just expenses, it's also the income side of things as well.
You're talking specifically about people that are trying to save up for the deposit on a property, but this is something we should all be doing regardless. If you're already in a property, you are leaking money. So this is sound advice. Do it. Yes, audit your household finances because you're going to save money. No question about it. Now, let's just sort of stay with that theme. To stop the spending rot, and I think rot is such a great word for using because that's what it is. You're suggesting a money fast, like fasting on your food, but do it with money 1 day a week.
Correct. A money fast. Try and get in the habit. Again, this is a behavior thing. Try to get in the habit of spending no money on 1 day. So what do I mean by that? You can't ever go a day without spending money, Damian. Well, you can if you buy your lunch, you make your coffee, you don't go out and buy that snack. You simply have a rule. Okay, today's a day I will not tap my card. I will not spend any cash. I'm not going to spend any money at all. A money fast is a good way to reset. It almost creates that behavior to ensure that you're aware of where your money is going. And if you don't, then what happens is you just have that roll-on effect with, I'll tap, 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 and then it all adds up.
It all adds up, no doubt about it. And because you're in the money lending space, it's so important about this educational piece. I mean, you guys are doing this more so than ever. It's an industry that really does rely on how can I tell a story to a client and embed that idea so that they get it, they apply it, and they reach for that particular goal of a deposit.
Definitely. The education piece is so important. It's something I'm really passionate about, specifically for me, because I didn't grow up learning this like most people. It's something we had to learn along the way. We've made mistakes. We see what people do on a daily basis. We see even people with a mortgage, and similar to that 1,000 to 1,500, that was with people that had a mortgage, and the same people that need to save. The education piece is so important because things are moving fast. The world is changing. Things are getting more expensive. And we just need to be able to learn more about how we can move the needle and become a bit more financially savvy in our individual lives.
Good on you, Damian. That is a great way to leave it on our Friday morning. Enjoy the upcoming weekend. And thank you so much for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast.
Thanks for having me, Craig.
If you're a new listener, welcome. We talk to the most knowledgeable real estate experts across Australia every day from 6 a.m.
216 suburbs now record median house prices above the $1 million mark. Quite a big change, really.
That's right. For homeowners, we see it sort of being a really positive outcome because it's equity gains are being retained rather than lost. We see values are really being supported by genuine demand, not really short-term speculation.
Is anything sort of putting itself ahead of other concerns at the moment through your members in SA?
The big thing probably for them, even if it's a slower time, is that we're not having the traditional seasonal sort of peaks and troughs in terms of what the market looks like. It's sort of buoyant and sales are happening all year round. Some really incredible prices as well, like Brighton, there was a record set on the Esplanade for over $6.5 million. Port Wollongong as well, a property on the Esplanade there opposite the fantastic sort of Star of Greece shipwreck. That was around 3.2 million.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.